Hello and welcome to Dentrix Does It. In this video, I'll demonstrate medical cross-coding. I will be using Dentrix G6.1 and I will also apply the Medical Cross Coding DataPak. Now, due to licensing issues with the American Medical Association, Dentrix does not come preloaded with the AMA, modifier, or service codes. The DataPak will add these to your database. The Medical Cross Coding DataPak is available for purchase through the Dentrix sales team. And also, because of those licensing and copyright concerns, in this video I unfortunately will have to blur the codes. Without the DataPak, you can still do medical cross-coding. You will have to complete the setup adding these codes manually. One other warning before we begin. If you're planning to print and mail medical claims, you will need to purchase pre-printed medical claim form paper and load that in your paper tray when the time comes to print. Dentrix can print the correct information in the locations where it belongs on the claim, but Dentrix cannot print the lines and boxes that make up the form itself. And once again, you can purchase pre-printed forms by contacting the Dentrix sales team, or you can avoid the problem altogether and submit your claims electronically. So for the first phase of this video, which is setting everything up, I'm going to split the screen into two halves. On the left, we will not use the Medical Cross Coding DataPak. On the right side, I will use the DataPak, and that way you can compare and contrast why one may be more valuable to you than the other. So, first of all, let's install the DataPak. With Dentrix exited on all of the machines, I would come to the server computer, insert the CD, and follow the directions. It's just as easy as that. Alright, let's look at the setup work then that lies in front of us. Now, the setup work must be completed once on any one of your computers in order to get things going so that you can medical cross-code for the future. First of all, we must set up our ADA codes to allow medical cross-coding. From the Maintenance menu in Office Manager, I'll point to Practice Setup, and then I'll click Procedure Code Setup. Go ahead and select a procedure code category, and then select the ADA code that you want to medically cross-code. Click Edit, and check the box Flag for Medical Cross-Coding. If I've made a change here, I click Save, and then Yes, and save those changes. I close out of this window, and I repeat this for all of the ADA codes that I may have a need to cross-code in the future. If you have the Medical Cross-Coding DataPak, this step is already done for you. Next, let's go to the AMA CPT tab, and this is where we will enter our medical codes. So if you've applied the Medical Cross Coding DataPak, the list will be populated for you. But if not, go ahead and type in the AMA code, type in the description, click Add, repeat this for as many medical codes as you intend on using, and when you're finished, click Save. Continuing on, next we'll choose the Icd-10 tab. These codes are automatically populated for you when you run the CDT 2016 update. And next, we'll move on to the Modifier tab. Now, if you need to use modifier codes and you've not already applied the DataPak, you can set them up here. Again, we type into the boxes here at the top, click the Add button, and click Save when we're ready to move on to the next step. The next step is the Service tab, and if you've applied the Medical Cross Coding DataPak, you'll notice Place of Service and Type of Service codes are already here for you. If not, similar to what we've already done, you can type into the code and description boxes, click the Add button to add them. Now, I will note here that place of service codes and their descriptions may vary from state to state, so do check to make sure you're using the correct codes for your area. But I have observed that a very common place of service code is 11 and Office, so I'm entering that here. All right, we are finished now with the procedure code setup area. You can close out of that. And the next step is we will cross-code the ADA codes with the AMA codes. This will set up associations between dental, medical, and the diagnostic codes. And this step is not absolutely required, but it will make things a lot easier in the day-to-day work of medical claim creation. From the Maintenance menu in Office Manager, point to Practice Setup, and then click Medical Cross Coding Setup. From this Select ADA CDT Code list, select the category. All of the ADA codes which were flagged for medical cross-coding, which we did back in the very first step, will appear here. Select the ADA code you want to cross-code. Now at the bottom left, select all of the applicable AMA CPT codes and choose Add. And to help you find what you're looking for more quickly, there is a search field that you can type code numbers in. As you add any applicable codes, they appear in the bottom right box. And the good news is the Medical Cross Coding DataPak will do all of this setup work for you. Next, we'll move to the AMA CPT to Icd-10 Diagnostic Cross Coding Tab. And here we'll make associations between the medical codes and the Icd-10 codes. Now again, if you installed the Medical Cross Coding DataPak, these associations are already completed for you. But to do it manually, all available AMA codes appear here at the top center. Search for and select an AMA code. Now at the bottom left, search for and select all applicable Icd-10 diagnostic codes and click the Add button. To do it manually, you'll probably want to get more specific information about the codes and their descriptions by using reference books that are provided by the AMA. And when you finish the cross-coding, choose Close. Well, with that major setup work out of the way, that really concludes all that we need to show on a side-by-side comparison, so I'm going to move back to a single screen. We'll continue on by checking to make sure that the medical claim form is enabled within our system. We'll go from the Maintenance menu in the Office Manager, pointing to Practice Setup, and then Definitions. From the Definition Type list, we'll select Claim Format. Here, we'd like to verify that an HCFA format is listed. And as of this recording, the current claim form is HCFA 212. So, as I'm showing here, I do not have the current claim form. I would go ahead and highlight my HCFA form that I do have. Type in the correct form up top and click Change. Of course, if yours is completely missing, you can type it into the boxes and click the Add button. Oh, the excitement is building, as now let's go add a medical insurance plan. I'll click on Maintenance, Reference, and then choose Insurance Maintenance. I'll click the Medical tab and then select New. And then here we type or select the insurance carrier's information as prompted. I am here in the Office Manager, so I'm going to go ahead and stay here and do that within Office Manager, but these same steps can be done within the patient's family file. Now, when you reach the Claim Format pull-down menu, you'll want to select your medical claim format. And when you finish entering all of your important details, click OK. All right, we have now reached the fun part, the day-to-day work of creating claims for patients. So I'm going to open a family file and select a patient. I'll double-click the insurance block. I'll select the Medical tab, and then I'll assign the patient their medical insurance. This step, as you see, is very similar to assigning a dental insurance plan. Now, within the patient's chart or ledger, we will see the patient and we will post their dental codes just as you normally would. After you've posted the dental codes, you'll notice a triangle appears here in the ledger or the chart progress notes. If it is a gray triangle, that would indicate that the patient does not have medical insurance assigned in their family file. But if it's a blue outline triangle, that alerts me that the patient does have an assigned medical insurance plan and that I can cross-code the procedure with medical information. So to do that, double-click on the procedure, and in the Medical Claim Information section, click the Select button, and here we will fill in the blanks. I'll choose from the AMA CPT code list. Now by default, you will only see the codes that were cross-coded earlier in the Medical Cross Coding Setup area. I mentioned back then that this was an optional thing to do, and if you would like to view all of your code options, you can pull this menu down and choose All. However, if you did complete the Medical Cross Coding Setup, you'll have a short list of codes that apply specifically to this code, and it will make it a lot faster as you're going through the day-to-day process of cross-coding these. So I'll select the appropriate code and click OK. And I continue on, clicking the Selection button to assign a modifier code. A place of service code. And a type of service code. And finally, I'll click into Diagnostic Codes. And from the list, you can select one or more diagnostic codes. And again, as before, you will only see the codes that were cross-coded in the Medical Cross Coding Setup area earlier. But if you'd like to view all of your code options, change the drop-down menu. And when you're finished making your selections, choose OK. Now that the dental code has been fully cross-coded, the formerly outlined triangle has turned into a solid blue triangle. And now I'm able to create the medical claim form. You do this in a way that's very similar to creating dental claims. Here in Ledger, I can select today's procedures or highlight procedures and then choose selected procedures from the insurance buttons, or I can use the insurance menu options. Now, if you're not submitting the claim electronically, this is what your claim form will look like when it's printed. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you will need pre-printed claim form paper to load into your printer's paper tray. And then when you print this, the text will line up into the correct position to match the lines and boxes of the pre-printed paper. But what if it doesn't exactly line up right? Different printers do feed the paper with slight variances, so to account for that, you can open up Office Manager, Maintenance, Practice Setup, Preferences, and select the Print Options tab. Now here you'll have to make a little judgment on how far off exactly the printing is. For example, if you need to shift the text to the right by 1/10 of an inch, you would come to this left offset box and type 0.1. If it's printing 1/4 of an inch too high, enter 0.25 into the top offset box. This process is not very scientific. It may take experimenting by printing a time or two, changing the number a little bit each time until you find the right setting that makes your printer line up this information with the form. Or you can avoid the problem altogether and submit your claims electronically. And that's how Dentrix does it. For more tips and training, please visit the Online Resource Center.